Oh, what is going on, everybody? It is your boy Bounty here, bringing you something a little bit different. So I did make a poll on my community tab about which one you all would rather see. How I would change / balance MK1 or something along those lines, or like a history video on the most broken characters in NRS games. And a lot of you said that you'd love to see a video on changes that I personally make to MK1, which is not a problem with me. But I'm going to be doing a Nitara video first, obviously because she is my main. That's pretty much what I based my whole entire channel around and all that stuff. And I also feel that this would be a good entry point before I make videos on other characters as well. I'm still a little bit indecisive if I want to make one very large long video with every single character on there as well, like with all the changes and all the stuff, or if you wanted to see in their own separate videos in their own respective places. So just please let me know in the comments which one you'd all rather prefer, seeing a long form content of like an hour long video of me talking about all the changes, or just have it be their own separate videos. But before we get into anything, I'd like to explain to you my philosophy when it comes to balance in fighting games specifically. So I've always been under the impression of, like, you know, fun and all that stuff is always important, 100% when it comes to balancing in fighting games, 100%. So I think many people would actually be kind of surprised that I don't want to see Nitara be in the same tier, for example, as like a Johnny or Peacemaker or Kenshi. I don't think a good balanced character is everybody being top tier. I really don't believe that. Because, to be honest with you all, I believe that giving everyone like obnoxious tools or like obnoxious gimmicks and all that stuff just so that they can compete with the top tiers is pretty lazy game design, in my opinion. I don't really consider it good game design, just buffing everybody by giving them more tools and more stuff, as opposed to actually fixing the issues as to why they're a bad character. So when I'm buffing Nitara, you're going to see the little changes that I'm going to be suggesting isn't necessarily anything too game breaking. She's definitely still the same character and she still has the same weaknesses, obviously, of like being a glass cannon. But it's not like all of a sudden she's going to have a 2-frame instant projectile that goes full screen and is overhead. So yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way first before I got into anything, but hopefully you all will enjoy these changes. Alright, so the first change here that you all are seeing is the gap that is in forward 1-2, Nitara's main string. The gap is now removed, so the old one, which is the current one, is the one on top, and then the new proposed patch that I am saying is obviously right there on the bottom. Obviously, this move is still unsafe, being -7 if you commit to the full string, which rewards players that do know the matchup. But I genuinely feel that making this forward 1-2 have the gap be removed actually helps her a lot, because now her forward 1 stagger game actually becomes much more better in that instance, because instead of being able to armor after forward 1 every single time and just like baiting out every single time you go for a button, now you actually have some form of mix-up. So that's a very good change in my opinion. A very subtle one, but it's definitely a good one in my opinion. This next one right here, Blood Sacrifice, Bloody Bolt, I made it faster. So as you can see here, I made it about 10 frames or so faster. Not really anything too crazy, as you can see, but it's definitely a very, very big difference, because I have the recording set like pretty much frame by frame up until the move comes out. Obviously, that's why I counted the 10 individual frames. And this might not seem like a big deal, but I feel like actually making this move much more usable by making it faster is such a well-needed change. Obviously, I don't want Nitara to be like a projectile zoning character once the Blood Sacrifice gets activated, but definitely making this faster just to at least trade from full screen with other projectiles is definitely going to help her a lot when she's getting outzoned. Obviously, you can use the movement just to get out of the way and all that stuff. I am aware of that, but definitely having this option when the Blood Sacrifice is available is a good one, I would say for sure. Definitely like a quality of life change for sure. Obviously, the next biggest one that I'm pretty sure every single person saw this one coming. Back forward 1 is now a mid. So obviously I'm trying to show off of that being a mid. Unfortunately, with the editing skills, you know, I'm definitely getting up there in terms of my editing, but it's not anything too crazy. But yeah, you can clearly see this is a mid. This is pretty much like a necessity at this point. There's nothing more I can say about this one. Alright, and coming on to this one, back 2 is now faster. So when I was actually checking the frames on this, when I was making this little cut of the back 2, it went from 28 frames to 23. That definitely doesn't look like 23 frames though. It definitely looks like way faster, but promise me, it's definitely above 20 frames, that's for sure. Because when I was counting this, making sure like it wasn't anything super crazy, I was like, this does not seem like 23 frames. But I counted each individual frame for this clip, so yeah, there you go. Back 2 is now faster. This one, I didn't really have any idea on how to show it off properly, but I think an interesting change to Nitara is making her 1-2 string at least -3 or -4. Currently, it is -7. And the reason why I suggested this in the first place is because she's not really a character that thrives off of like overhead low 50-50 and all that crazy stuff. Similar to like Smoke, he just lives and dies by the 50-50s. Nitara is more so of just, you know, glass cannon, being a pressure character. Once she gets in, like it's very scary, but once she's out, she's essentially like, she's struggling to get back in. And I feel that making her 1-2, -3 or -4 is definitely going to help her a lot. And addition to this change, I feel that actually giving her stand 1, her jab, giving it a better hitbox would be so much more beneficial, because in this clip you could also see that some of it was actually whiffing a lot. There's some cases where it hits, and there's a lot of cases where even though she's like directly in front of her, the stand 1 whiffs a lot. So fixing that stand 1 hitbox to make it slightly bigger is what was making her 1-2 string at least -3 or -4, just so that we have something that we can stagger with our 1-2-1-2 string, or 1-2-4 is definitely going to be a well-needed change for sure, in my opinion. And then finally, I thought this one was a pretty interesting change in my opinion. Forward 4-3-4, now the last hit is able to be flight cancelled. So obviously trying to show this off in the editing is a little bit wonky. I did try my best to get it as smooth as possible, but you know, it's still a little bit tricky, you know, to get everything timed correctly. But I think this will be a very interesting change, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie. It's definitely an addition to the toolkit. And I wouldn't necessarily say it's something very game breaking, just because the string itself has not really seen much. But I feel that this will help her a lot, just because the move is obviously forward advancing. It is slow, the forward 4. It's not necessarily like the greatest move in her buttons. I am aware of that. But I would say that giving the last hit the ability to be flight cancelled is gonna mix up so many people, because you can either do forward 4 into flight cancel, or you can commit to the full string and get a lot of chip built into it, maybe get in like a mix up afterwards, like they let go of block, and because they let go of block, now you can spend a bar to get a combo afterwards. Obviously it's not going to be a lot of damage since they are airborne. I was aware of that also, making that change. So I think this is a good change, honestly. And obviously I didn't get any footage of this that you're about to see, so it's just going to be this looping as well as all the other changes that you're going to be seeing in the background. But obviously her health getting buffed, I wasn't really too fond of keeping it to 1,000, just because, like I said, keeping the whole glass cannon archetype, I understand she's supposed to be like relatively weak, but also like a very hard hitting character. I just feel that's more so of the fact of, you know, the blood sacrifice not being used as often, just because it's not really pushed forward into it. Like there's not really much reason to use it unless you have a bar meter, you know what I'm saying? So 950 I feel like was good enough. The chameleon change to losing 50 health, I really don't believe even to this day that that was the best change to chameleon, if I'm being honest. So imagine her having 950 health without the chameleon change of the nerf in terms of damage. So instead of her having 900 health, she's gonna have 950 with the chameleon not giving or losing health. She still is very punishable with the ball roll, obviously. I'm not going to get too into specifics with it, obviously, just because this is only going to be a Nitara video and like little changes like that, but yeah. So just to go over it all again, 950 health, her stand 1 having a better hitbox so that it can connect easier. 1-2 is -3, -4. The gap in forward 1-2 has now been removed, making forward 1 and forward 1-2 a much better move to stagger, which makes her pressure just slightly more better. It is still punishable if you commit to the forward 1-2 with Li Mei's EX down back 3, Liu Kang's stand 1, Kung Lao's back 1, etc, etc. So obviously if players are aware of the matchup, they are rewarded for getting the full punish with that. What else did I have? Ah, yes, her blood sacrifice as well. The bloody bolt, the projectile she gets access to, is about 10 to 12 frames faster. So it's obviously a very big change. She can at least trade with projectiles from full screen now, which is a very good, well-needed change. Helps her contest better, as opposed to only relying on the flight to getting in. Now she can at least trade and get a knockdown with the EX, or with the blood sacrifice, with the bloody bolt, sorry. And the change with the back forward one being a mid now. So yeah, obviously it's not anything super crazy. She's still Nitara. She can still do a lot of her shenanigans. She can still do her fun stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much what I have so far. Obviously doing this with every single character is going to be a little bit of a tricky one, because you can already see how long this one is. And with some characters like Sub-Zero and Havoc, oh Jesus, it's definitely even longer than that one. But yeah. Hopefully you all enjoyed today's video. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and also leave a comment down below of what you thought of the video as well. I'm very curious. But I will see you all in the next one. Take care.